Welcome to the Opportunity Podcast, where entrepreneurs come to learn from real buyers, sellers, and industry experts on the lesser-known growth opportunities to build their online business empires. We'll uncover tactics veteran online business entrepreneurs have used to build, buy, flip, and sell their way towards personal wealth. Sit back, grab a coffee, and get ready to uncover hidden growth secrets. The Opportunity Podcast starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Opportunity, where we talk to high-performing entrepreneurs, investors, and just, interesting people. And today we have a very interesting person. Mohit Tater is coming onto the podcast. I'm excited here because Mohit actually runs a micro private equity firm, Blackbook Investments. So he understands a lot of the same perspective that I understand, having worked in the M&A world for about 6 years at this point. The other really cool thing about Mohit is he is an operator for Empire Flippers Capital, for EFC. And he's not just an operator for one deal, but he's actually been in 2 different deals. He's bought 7 businesses for over, I think the number is over $2 million. You'll have to fact check me when you listen to the episode a little bit later on. I have a terrible memory. But Mohit has been around the block. He's been doing this for 10 years himself, a little bit underneath 10 years for himself ever since he got into the space. And there's a lot of cool lessons here. If you're just starting out as an entrepreneur, you're looking at buying a business, and you're like, wow, God, everything is so expensive. Well, you're not completely wrong. But Mohit, he started buying something for less than $5,000 that he flipped for, I think it was over $12,000 in pretty short time. So you're going to learn a lot of cool things here, especially if you're looking to acquire in the content space. He goes through his entire list of what he's looking for, what he wants, and how he grows these things. So I've spoken it enough. It's time to get into the opportunity episode with Mohit. But remember, if you have not yet done so, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, give us a like, give us a share, or send me a funny meme on LinkedIn. All right, let's go into the show and let's talk to Mohit. Hello, everyone. Today, I am interviewing Mohit Tater, one of the EFC operators. I'm pretty excited to talk to him. This is the first time we've had an Empire Flippers Capital operator on since we started EFC. So this is going to be awesome to check in with an operator and get the lowdown on what is actually happening. So Mohit, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and where you're at in the world right now?
Hey, Greg, thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be here. Hi, everyone. So I'm Mohit Tater. I'm from a city called Jodhpur in India, which is where I'm from, and it's also called the Blue City, famous for, celebrity weddings. Nick Jonas got married here, I think.
Ooh,
and
nice.
Yeah, so it's where I'm from right now. I'm calling you from here because I live close to New Delhi, which is the capital of India, but I do come to my hometown once every month, I just like it here, the slow pace of life. Although it's a big city, it's like, I think 2.5 million people. But yeah, it's good. Like friends and family, everyone's here. So I do drop in every month for like a week or so. And then I operate out of close to New Delhi. We have an office there. So yeah, that's me. That's where I'm from.
That's awesome. I've always wanted to go to India. I watched this movie a while back ago. It took place in the Himalayas. I'm like, man, this looks so scenic. I'm originally from Alaska, so I have a thing for mountains, but I haven't been in India one day.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Hit me up. Yeah, hit me up whenever you're here.
For sure.
I always tell my friends, just hit me up whenever you're in India. I'm going to take you around.
For sure, man. That'd be fun. That'd be a fun trip. So for the audience out there who don't know you that well, walk us through your entrepreneur journey and how you got to this place. Because for anyone that doesn't know, in order to be an EFC operator, you have to be a proven entrepreneur, right? We don't let just anyone become an operator. We have a pretty fairly stringent vetting process to have those operators come on board, obviously, because we want to make sure they have a proven track record for our investors. So tell us a bit about your hero's journey, so to speak. How did you get into this position? What were you doing before?
Yeah, so I'm happy to walk you through it, actually. So for like a lot of entrepreneurs, it starts with maybe a book or some realization. For me, it started with, Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was in grade 10, I think, and read that book a couple times over. And, the entrepreneur bug bit me. I was like, I need to do my own thing. I don't want to do a job. So that was early years. Then I went to uni. I went to college, did 4 years. So I went to a college which apparently is the toughest college to get into with a 0.5% acceptance rate. So much more difficult than Harvard if you
Wow.
with Harvard is
Where'd you go?
7%, I think. I went to BITS Pilani, Institute of Technology and Science. It is like comparable to IITs in India, if you heard of that, Indian Institute of Technology. So yeah, it's got like, I wonder how I made it in, but yeah, I made it in and I did 4 years. I did my college. And after that, I got a job at startup, which is called Zomato. It's a food delivery startup and it is really huge right now. It's like a unicorn. I was one of the first few members in the team and I was handling their content operations. I was launching the company in new cities, going to restaurants, collecting menus and whatnot, like on the foot. So those were the early years. So I did want to take up a job for a while to, get an idea of what a job is like, because if I would not have done it, I would not know what a job is like. So once I did that, I had kind of decided already that I'm going to do it for 1 year and then I'm going to do my own thing. So right on the 1 year mark, I decided to leave, even though it was going good. And I just quit and started, researching online of what I can do, what businesses I can do. I also read 4-Hour Workweek during that time. And this idea of location and time independence, kind of that bug bit me. And I was like looking for ideas that, could allow me to work remotely anywhere, anytime. And so like a lot of us, we start Googling, make money online. That's how it started, honestly, 10 years ago.
Of course. The start of every great entrepreneur's journey.
Yeah, that's exactly how it started. And when I was doing my job in the evenings, I was learning how to build websites and blog. Like I was trying to write, I was trying to do a review site, maybe reviewing movies and games, trying to set up sites using WordPress. So I learned that skill while at the job. And then once I left, I tried to do it in a more focused manner. But unfortunately, I could not make any money from my own blogging attempts. And I was like, okay, this is not working. What else can I do? I had a short attention span. So let's see, there must be something that I can do. There are other people who are doing it successfully. So I chanced upon Flippa back then. It was fairly new. And I saw that people are running operational websites, profitable websites, good prices, like low multiples. Like I bought sites for 6x monthly, 10x monthly, 1 year profit multiple. That was like 10 years ago. And I was like, okay, maybe let me try buying a site here and see how that works. I had some money saved up from my job and I borrowed some from my mom. I started with $2,500 back then. I bought a site doing social media marketing for clients, like Instagram marketing, all of that. And I'll just dive in and see if it works. Otherwise, it'll be, I'll probably lose my money and I'll just go back to a job maybe. So lucky for me, it worked out and I could grow that site and the services we were selling to 4 or 5-fold actually. I made about $6,000, $7,000 in the 6 months that I held it. So already 2 or 3x of my initial investment. And then I sold it for $12,500, I think. Yeah, that was my first flip. And
wow.
Then
that's awesome. Your first taste of it. That's great.
Yeah, lucky for me, it worked out the first time because had it not, I would not have any money left to buy another one.
Right.
Because I got scammed on the second one, I got scammed on the second one. So
that's usually what happens on the first one. You got lucky.
Yeah, I got lucky. My life trajectory would have been different had I not gotten lucky back then. So that worked out. And I was like, okay, this thing works. Maybe let me try and do it again, just to make sure that it does work. Second time around, it didn't work as well. And, from my first sale, I always had wanted to go to the US. So I took a trip to the US, like 2-month-long trip to the US. And I didn't have much left. So I bought the second site for $3,000 and it was a total scam, basically. The revenue numbers and everything was fudged and the revenue proof and everything was fudged. So I lost the remaining $3,000, but I, didn't lose heart and did another one. That was also like a couple $1,000s or something. And that was a content site. The first two were like social media marketing service kind of sites. And the content side, kind of worked well. It just was going steady and kind of provided me with a steady income. Even I think it was like $200, $300. And it was more than what I was making at my job though, like $300, $400, a month. And I was happy doing that actually, because I was actually finally doing something like doing a business, working from anywhere on my own accord. So yeah, that was back then. And since then I have bought, a lot of sites, a lot of online businesses, sold a lot of them. And yeah, here we are.
You mentioned, some books. I agree with you. A lot of entrepreneurs start with reading books, but you mentioned Rich Dad Poor Dad specifically. This is just a quick aside, but my dad, he's an entrepreneur in the real estate world, and he would sometimes like pay me to read books for him because he didn't have enough time.
Nice.
So I guess like analog cliff notes,
Yeah.
And so
Awesome.
he gave me Rich Dad Poor Dad to read. I was like 14 or 15, and he paid me like,
Wow.
I don't know, like $10 to read it or something like that. And so I read it, and he's like, "So what was it about?" So I told him, and he's like, "What? Really? That's about real estate?" Like, yeah, like do real estate. You should read this. Like, what did you think it was about? He's like, I thought it was a parenting book. And like, I bought it. I had your older brother thinking like, I should probably read this.
Wow, that's amusing. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Funny. Yeah,
But yeah, so you had small beginnings. You were buying, micro businesses, which I think is great because like that shows you can start with nominal money. You don't need to have like
exactly.
multiple six figures to get started, which I think a lot of people, they kind of scare themselves out of it. Now,
Yeah,
obviously, if you're buying stuff underneath 100K, there's a lot bigger chance it's going to be a scam if you don't use like a reputable broker. I know
exactly.
Flip has gotten better over the years, but still, you got to be careful if you're buying anything underneath 100K. But let's
Indeed.
jump forward to you starting your micro private equity business. Tell me a little bit about that, and then how did that transition? I know you're still running that, but how did that
Yeah.
lead into EFC for you?
Yeah, sure. So I run a micro private equity company called Blackbook Investments, and it started back in 2014. So it's been 8 years now that we've been doing it. So yeah, like I said, from the proceeds of my first sale, I took a trip to the US. I was, living in Midtown Manhattan with a friend of mine, 57th and Broadway, and he was working with an investment bank. So he was just, I was with him for a few weeks. So he was just curious, as to what I was doing because he saw me working on my laptop and just working at
What is
something.
this?
Yeah, what is this? What is he doing even? He's saying, oh, he's working on laptop all day. What is he doing? So he just curiously asked me, like, what do you do? So I told him that this is what I do. I'm buying websites and cash flowing websites. He was an investment banker and he was doing well. So he said, I have some money. I always looking to invest in interesting things. So he said, if I don't do this, I'll give you the money. Let's buy something for me and then you manage it for me. I was like, okay. And that was the time that the seed for Blackbook was sown. This was in 2013. And we bought a site for him for $11,000. We still own and manage that site. It's been 9 years now. And it's kind of been lucky for us. So yeah, we bought that site for him and I could give him a really good ROI on his money. And like within 6 months, he had his friends and his family, pulling in funds to buy more sites. So that's how it started unofficially, basically. And then we had more people coming up to us, like within the network, like friends, family. And in 2014, we made it like official and we launched Blackbook Investments. So those were the beginnings of Blackbook, I would say. And since then, we have grown by word of mouth, by references, because we don't do marketing at all, to be honest. And we're just happy getting the business that we're getting and serving our clients, investors to the best of our abilities. So yeah.
That's awesome. The $11,000 website you bought with your friend, your first client, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah, exactly.
How did that go? Like you said, you still own it about 9 years later. So like, what does that site look like today?
Yeah, it was a content site. It was making I think about $7 a month at that moment. And yeah, I mean, we just grew. It was doing like ads. It was doing some sponsored posts, like guest posting, and it was doing a little bit of affiliate. So, over that years, it has changed hands, multiple hands, but we always, kept it within our management because one investor, if they wanted to sell and if someone was wanting to buy both for our clients, we would, get the deal done between them. So it's still managed by us, not owned by us, but still managed by us. And it does about 7,000 right now a month. So 10x. It's stable. It's fairly
Wow.
stable now. So yeah, it's like the cash flowing and I like cash flow. So I'm more of a buy and hold kind of guy rather than, buy, fix and flip. So yeah, I'm the long-term guy. So even with my own sites, I try and, hold them for as long as I can for the cash flow. Yeah.
I love that. I'm a fan of buy and hold myself. Like I think flipping, you can make a lot more like initial money, but the real money is in
Yeah,
the buy and hold, in my view. Like build something
exactly.
truly
It
big,
compounds.
get high DR. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that's awesome. First of all, I mean, like in 1 month, it almost makes as much as you initially
Yeah.
bought it for. So I'm sure your friend was
Yeah.
very happy. So I've been at EF for over 6 years. I've seen the same business sold with us 4 times. So what you just said there reminded me of that
Yeah.
business. Like, like you're just like a hot potato
Yeah.
between your
Yeah.
clients, which is pretty funny.
Exactly.
So you have this private equity, this micro private equity firm that's running. And I love the fact that it was built basically on serendipity, you just like intriguing your friend. I think that's really cool. But how did that transition into EFC? Like, why would you want to become Empire Flippers Capital operator when you have, what you have currently going on?
Yeah, exactly. So how this kind of played out was I've known Justin and Joe for almost, I think, 7 years now. We first met at DCBKK, the conference, Dynamite Circle in Bangkok, 2015, October. And that was my first one, actually. And I was actually just starting out, to be honest, back then. And yeah, with Justin and Joe, I met them, had a good time. I told them like what I do. And since, that time, I've been going to DCBKK pretty much every year, maybe leave aside a couple. And
Are you going this year?
I am, yes.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, I'd
look
love to
forward to
get
it.
some selfies. I'll be there.
We should. Yeah. Speaking of selfies, I did get one with Justin and Joe in 2015. I still have that. So
I'm sure it's a great one.
yeah, exactly. So we just kept in touch. We met every year. And I also met Mike a long time ago. And he also kind of knew what I was doing over the years. He saw me grow. Justin and Joe, they saw me grow. And, I think in late 2019 or 2020, Mike just reached out to me that, hey, Mohit, we're planning to do this thing. We had spoken about it, like with Justin, he had told me that, they were thinking of doing something like this, like maybe in 2017 or 18. But yeah, finally it materialized and Mike reached out to me, hey, Mohit, we're doing EF Capital and we heard good things about you. Would you love to be a part of it? And I definitely, said, definitely do want to be a part of it. And then we went through the whole vetting process. Like it was not like, I was friends with them and I just got in. So we did the whole vetting process. It was really long. But yeah, why I chose to do EF Capital was because I think EF Capital would be a great platform for me to showcase what we do at Blackbook. And also while at the same time helping EFC investors, get the best ROI on their money, because that's what we do. That's what we're good at. A lot of people manage their own sites, but a very few people do it for others as a service. So I was like, we're anyways among the very few people who did it. And we had been doing it as a company before that, not as an individual operator. I think we were just in the right spot and we took the opportunity as it came.
Yeah, so you saw this as like an ability to level up even further, like grow the exposure of what you've already done.
Exactly. Yeah. It was just an extension to what we did, just like the next step, if you will, the next logical
Gotcha.
step to level up. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what you said there is a pretty salient point in that, like, I have tons of friends, and I'm sure you do too, that run these content businesses, FBA, you name it, but they're often solopreneurs or they might have a small company, but
Yes.
none of them, for the most part, have ever ran a business from the perspective of how do you appease an investor. So, like, I have friends
Exactly.
who are very competent. Then they start looking at this stuff. They're like, I don't know how to do this with the investor budget. Like, I have to meet their forecasts, right? So it is a little bit of a different game for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So we've been doing it for a while. So we're in the perfectly capable of doing it for EFC.
So tell me a bit about, obviously we have a lot of those entrepreneurs listening to this podcast right now, and many of them want to become an EFC operator, and they might not be totally clear on the benefits of being one of these. So give me a lowdown, like just a brief explanation on how you're compensated for doing all this work as an EFC operator.
Yeah, sure. So each operator basically lists down a criteria for the money they want to raise and the deals they want to do, whether it's the number of deals or whether it's the size of deals they want to do. And then they put out a sales page. And then basically it's up to like the investors to choose among the various deals that the operators have. How the operators are paid or compensated in EFC is basically, so we have to put in our own money to be a part of the raise. It's not like we don't have skin in the game. So we do put anywhere from, 5 to 7% along with other investors. So we, first and foremost, we get a return on that invested money, which is not related to our operating carry, which I'm going to come to. So yeah, we put in some percentage of the whole fund. Let's say if the first one was $1 million, we had put in about $70,000 as Blackbook and being a part of it as an investor, apart from being the operator. So that's the first thing. One portion of the investment ROI we get. The second is the carry. Carry is basically a percentage of net profits that we receive on the whole portfolio. And that varies between, it's 20% right now for EFC2, second deal that we did. I think it was slightly more for EFC1, maybe 23.3. So I think it's stabilized at 20 now. So 20% of the net profits after like all the expenses running the sites, growth money, everything, whatever net profit is left, we get 20% of that for our operational thing because we're operating the sites and we're running them, we're growing them, we get the carry. And yeah, that's like our profit share, if you want to call it that, or in layman terms.
Yeah. And of course, any operator out there who wants to learn more, they can always go to empireflippers.com/capital. But I wanted to ask you like a little bit of a pivot here because you've bought a lot of businesses over at Blackbook. Like you've learned a lot, I've seen a lot over the last decade or so doing this. So how does raising funds for Blackbook, for your own company, it differs from raising funds with EFC when you're becoming an operator and buying businesses through EFC?
Yeah. So usually at Blackbook, we work with investors one-on-one, like it's a managed service. We hadn't been doing funds until like last year. So it was like always, one-to-one. You come to us as an investor, you tell us your investment criteria, you tell us how much money you have that you are looking to invest. Or the minimum we were working with was $50,000. Now it's $100,000. You might have to bump it up a bit further because you don't get much for 100K these days. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we're doing one-to-one, investment and management, like a fully managed. But not everyone has like 100,000 lying around. Then in 2021, actually, we did our first group buy, and we raised about $400,000, 450, and we just did an extension to that in 2022. Did about another 400K added to that. But yeah, raising. We have a CFO who did the major like work raising the money. It is a task, like it's a full-time job in itself, I will tell you. So yeah, how EFC differs as opposed to if I'm doing it myself is that I'm anyways doing everything to find the right deals, to vet the right deals, to do due diligence, talk to sellers, get on calls with them, negotiate hard. And then of course, like make offers, do the deal, do the transfer migration, and then run the site, grow the site, and then sell it. So that cycle is already we are doing that. When you add to it raising funds to buy those websites, then things get more, tedious because now raising funds in itself is a full-time thing. And you have to manage investors, you have to manage expectations. Sometimes you get the money, but you don't find the right deals. Sometimes you find the right deals, but you don't have the money. So it's like, it hardly goes, hand in hand. So you first raise the money and then start looking for deals, and then you spend a few weeks, maybe a couple months, 3 months finding the deals. So it's a long drawn process. That's what I don't have to worry about when I'm working with EFC because that's being taken care of. And I can just focus on finding the best deals and doing thorough due diligence on them. So that's one big headache off my plate that I don't have to worry about. And I can raise more money in a shorter amount of time. That's another thing.
I don't think people realize just how much work goes into that. Like, you hear people talk about, I raised my Series A, Series B, or I raised from this group of private investors, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to actually doing it, this is just like ridiculously hard. It is hard, right? And like you're one of the few people who've seen both sides of it, right? Because you've done it for yourself and now you had it done for you with EFC. And I think there is a certain type of awesome leverage there, especially if you've never done it before. Like if you become an operator for EFC, like having someone there, like who's a pro, who's done it several times at this point. I think we're on like round 4, I want to say, of EFC. That might be wrong. I have a terrible memory, but we've done it several times now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could totally see that. Like whenever I see Mike starting to raise a new round, you can just see the shadows underneath his eyes.
Yeah.
Definitely a full-time gig.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Speaking of hard work, so you got a lot going on, right? You're in 2 rounds with EFC. You have your own stuff that you're working on with Blackbook. How are you balancing working as both an EFC operator and CEO? Like, what are your productivity hacks there?
Yeah. So for me, like I believe in hiring smarter people than myself and generally hiring smarter people and letting them run the show. And that's what I do. Like we have a big team. We have about 20 full-time people. We have an office. We have a hybrid model. Whoever wants to work in the office can come in, work there. Whoever wants to work from their home or wherever, they can do that. I have a solid team. That helps me be sane and manage everything. For me, what I do mainly is focus on finding the right deals, negotiating, managing investors. Of course, I don't have to do that with EF Capital. So that's another thing, raising money was just one thing, but managing investors and managing their expectations is a whole different job altogether. Again, that's why companies have investor relations people. and I don't have to do it here. But yeah, in general, I do like the high level 40,000 view things that can move the company ahead. Of course, I do keep a tab on how individual websites and businesses are performing, but I have smarter people than me doing the actual running of those websites and businesses and growing of that. So it works well because we have a really good team that has been, the team has, it's been put together over like years, not even months. So like I would say I'm really proud of my team, and we have some of the best people working with us in the industry. So yeah, that is how I can manage working with EF's capital and also working with Blackbook's own investors and clients.
How big is your team?
About 20 full-time people, I think. 19 to 20 full-time people. Yeah. We're always hiring. So if anyone wants to work with us, I mean, we're always looking for smart people, writers, great SEOs, content managers. So yeah, just hit us up.
Is there any like tool or resource you use in addition to, the labor, the people to help you manage your EOC portfolio and what you're doing with Blackbook?
I think Google Sheets, and they work just fine, honestly.
Google Sheets, the ultimate project management system.
Yeah, you don't need anything else, to be honest. We tried a bunch of things, but we don't need anything apart from that. But yeah, we do use Asana for all our projects, not just the EF Capital projects, but all our projects. So that in tandem with Google Sheets and Google Docs works wonders. And for communication, we use Slack. So yeah.
Awesome. Let's get into a little bit deeper with the EOC portfolio questions here. So without revealing too much, you don't have to give away all the intimate secrets here. Give us just a quick overview of the type of businesses you are acquiring and operating from EFC.
Yeah, sure. So we specialize in content websites, and that's what we have been buying in the first and second round of EF Capital. In the first round, we did 2 deals. We raised about $1 million. We did 2 deals. And in the second round, we raised about $1.5 million. Did 5 deals, yeah. So in total, we are managing 7 websites under EFC 1 and 2 that we were a part of. Yeah, these are content sites monetized primarily either via affiliate income or display ads. It can be a mix of the both in various percentages. It could be solely display ads. And yeah, so these are content sites, in certain niches. They are educating people about a particular topic. They're searching or researching about something. They go to Google, search for us. We try to come up there for those topics, those keywords. And when they land on our website, they either, get shown ads, or if they're reviewing something, like reading some review of a product, and if they go to Amazon or any other marketplace to buy that product through our link, we get paid. I don't know if I'm dumbing it down too much, but yeah, just want to explain.
No, that's great. Just out of curiosity, do you focus on building an email list at all with these sites? Because I mean, these are decently, I wouldn't say like huge, but they're bigger content sites than what a lot of people have ran in a sense. So do you build an email list at all, or do you go straight to the ad or the affiliate link?
Yeah, so we focus, we're kind of laser focused, honestly, to grow the revenue. So we do deploy long-term strategies, collecting emails. And let's say a website we bought had an ebook for sale, and original owner was not doing much to promote that. So we do experiment with that, but not with every project. Every project is different. So if it makes sense for us to do email marketing, only then we would go about collecting emails. Because let's say if someone is looking for how to reset my iPhone, they'll come to our site, read the article, read the instructions, and go away. There won't be any need for them to subscribe to us that way. So it wouldn't make
Unless
sense.
You do the pop-up, your iPhone's been hacked. Please put your email in.
Let's not go there.
One weird trick to fix your iPhone. I love those crazy pop-ups.
Seriously, yeah. I know. So yeah, exactly.
No, that makes sense. Email isn't always right at every stage of a project. I'm a big email marketing nerd as well as SEO, so I'm usually preaching that everyone should build an email list. But you're right, it's not correct for every type of project. When you're looking at buying these sites, is there like certain qualities and traits you're looking for? Are you looking more on the stability side? You're looking more on the growth side? Walk me through a little bit through your process there.
Yeah, sure. So there are a few things we do look at. We have like multiple levels of due diligence that we do before we acquire a site, or before we even decide on acquiring it. Of course, the one thing that we do look at is that it should have a stable history, and it should have at least, 2-3 years of earnings history. And ideally it should be growing, it should be growing in terms of traffic and in terms of income. That's number one thing. We do not buy sites that are declining. A lot of people do. Maybe they can buy it for cheap and turn them around, but we don't do that. So we buy sites that having an upward trajectory. That's one thing. We also look for diversification in terms of income sources. So ideally, the income should be spread across multiple sources, not too many, but not too less either. So it could be one display ad network and maybe two affiliate programs. It could be even, just Amazon and MediaWine display ads. That's also fine. Ideally, it should not rely heavily on one thing or the other, but we have slowly been pivoting to more display ads focused income and less affiliate, because affiliate is kind of unpredictable these days with Amazon cutting commissions and all. So it should have a varied income sources. Even, sometimes within affiliate, it has different affiliate programs like share a sale or impact. So yeah, diversified revenue, so that if someone shuts shop one day, the site should not be affected as much. The revenue should not be affected. So the third thing would be diversification of traffic across pages. So most of these sites get organic traffic from Google. So we don't look for sites that are getting traffic from social media or direct traffic. Direct traffic is good, but yeah, most you don't find those as much, those sites. So yeah, we focus on sites getting traffic from Google, but that traffic should be spread across evenly. Like it should not be like one page is getting 30%, 40% of the traffic. That is like a red flag. We don't do that, because what if that page just goes down in rankings and loses its keywords? Then you are losing 30-40% of your income. So we look for diversification in terms of traffic across pages. Then these are like, the must-haves. Then you go to the growth part, like how maxed out is this? How big is the niche? How much more we can grow? Has the owner already maxed it out? Is there any scope for us to grow any further? Those things. Second thing would be, is there any other revenue stream I can introduce in this business, which can, be like increase my revenue right away? So let's say if a display ad site does not have any affiliate links, but it is ranking for like, buying keywords. So just implement affiliate on that site and, increase the income right away. That's the second thing. So if it has more avenues for income, all the more better. That's the second thing in terms of, the growth. Third thing I would say would be like, has it ever gotten, penalized by Google? We look at what happened. Did it bounce back? Did it not bounce back? So we look into that thoroughly also, because if it was penalized by Google, there must have been some reason. So we try to dig deeper into that. We ideally avoid sites that have been hit one or multiple times. So that's that. And lastly, it's a gut call. When I get on a call with the seller, when I get on a seller call, that gives me a feeling like whether maybe that person is the right one to buy from, because sometimes the site might be like perfect on paper, but when you talk to the person, you don't get the right vibe. And then you think maybe something is off, or maybe it's not working out. It's not a good deal, even though everything sounds right and looks right on paper. So that is like a gut check. And I've been on hundreds of seller calls over the years, like 9 years. I think I've gotten really good at it. So it is very important for me to build rapport with the seller. I will not buy from someone just because they have a good site, but they're like not a good person. Let's put it that way. So
they're the ones with the iPhone hacking, like email opt-in.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want this guy around.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like my last check.
I love pretty much everything you said there, because a lot of what you said is what I tell buyers. For example, the traffic to spread across multiple pages, having multiple affiliate networks, display ad networks, all that good stuff. One of the things you said at the very beginning, oh no, my brain is deleting what I was going to say, but we'll move into what you said at the end, your gut check that you're talking about. I think this is like more important than most buyers really consider, because everything looks fine, but they don't realize that when you buy something from at least a business transaction, like a business entity, in a lot of ways, that seller is your partner, at least like limited time partner,
Exactly.
right? Like not forever, but in some cases, I guess forever, but depends. So you want to trust that person as much as you possibly can, you want to jive with them, right? They feel a little slimy, like that's not a good foundation.
Yeah, totally. I actually have a couple of anecdotes on that, to be honest. Maybe it's like tooting my own horn. I don't want to do that. But in EFC2, we did 5 deals. And 2 or 3 of those deals had been on the market for a long time, like about a year, because we were looking at those same deals in EFC1. That was in 2021. I was looking at the same deal in 2022 for EFC2, second round. I was watching those deals because those were really good. And I'd been watching them for all these months, staying in touch with the seller once every month or every couple of months, sending them an email or getting updates on the site. Believe you me, when we sit down, I closed 5 deals in 5 nights. I was working with Alex as my sales advisors. I was in India, Indian time zone, and I didn't get much sleep for 6 nights straight because we closed 5 deals, 1.5 million worth of sites within 5 days for the US time zone. And working with Alex, and it was a crazy week. 2 of those 5 deals, actually, I'd been following from about a year ago and had built a rapport with the seller. And, surprising to my liking, they wanted to do the deal with me, even though they had multiple offers on the table. And some of those offers were higher than my offer, by 10, 30 grand. And they still wanted to do a deal with me because they thought I would be the right person to sell to. And I would take good care of their business. And because to them, it's not just a website. To them, it's their baby, it's their business. And that's what I look for. I don't buy from people who are like professional SEOs and they're just, they are just building sites and selling them. I try to buy from real people because they've built real passionate businesses and they're really passionate about their business. So you have to get involved with them. You have to, build a rapport with them. You have to think like they would think, or let's say if you were selling your business that you've grown for past 4 or 5 years, nurtured like a baby, how would you want your business be treated as? And I built that. And that's why they wanted to do the deal with me, even though they had higher offers on the table. So it does go a long way, I want to say.
Absolutely. So the same thing goes with the buyer, it goes for the seller. Like the seller often wants to trust that buyer. And like you said, it's more than just a money-making stream for them. Often this is the thing that set them free, right? This might be their first business that gave them this lifestyle that they always dreamed of, right? So there's a lot of emotion that goes into it for sure.
Yeah, totally.
I remember what I was going to say that I brain farted on. We were talking about your qualities that you're looking for in business. You mentioned you don't buy declining businesses. You buy businesses that are growing, which inherently means these are more premium valuations typically. And I love that because I think I give this advice to people all the time, especially if they're just starting out. You should look at buying a business that is growing or at least stable rather than trying to get the wicked smoking hot deal. Because it's just like in real estate, the smoking hot deal might be in this gun-ridden neighborhood that is absolutely terrible. You're not going to be able to fix, right? So I love that you focus on buying quality businesses. That's a refreshing thing versus the person trying to get the fire sale all the time.
Yeah, because I'm happy with, growing a stable and growing business. I'm happy growing it a little bit, slowly and steadily rather than, finding a business that's really going down and trying to just, do a 360, 180 on it, which might not even happen. There's less probability of that happening. So I rather go with, the tried and tested thing and grow that steadily because I have investors to, manage and then returns to provide that way.
For sure. Let's talk a little bit about these sites that you bought in round 1 and round 2. Do you have any wins you can report on or just general overview of how they've been performing since you took over?
Yeah. So one thing is that I would like to consider myself good at, negotiating. So the money is in the buy. That's another thing I believe. So we try to buy sites at a fair market price. We don't want to overpay in terms of multiples. That's why we have, left deals on the table, even though they're really good ones, but asking multiple was higher than we would have liked to pay for it. So we try to buy sites at good multiples that can sustain, themselves. Even if they don't grow too much, they can still provide good returns to investors. That's one thing. So that's like our leverage already from day one. That's one thing. But then, we identify opportunities and we make plans for the sites, growth plans, when we are looking to buy that site, because we need to know what is the potential for this site, how much we can grow it, and what kind of work and investment will it need. We have all of that ready before we go ahead and close the deal. And for us, the sites that we bought have been performing really, really well. And we've been happy with our purchases, so to say. In the first deal, another anecdote, in the first DFC round, there was one site that kind of got penalized during the migration. And lucky for us, it was penalized during the migration, not after it, because then we would not have been able to do anything about that. So that allowed us to renegotiate the price and do a holdout earn out for the seller. So we changed the deal during migration and we only ended up paying 50% of the original price. And then the rest 50% depending on how much the site makes in the next months. And we just paid out the remaining amount to the seller. It was not the full 100% because the site did not do as well. But lucky for us that we were able to factor that in, there and then. Otherwise, we would have overpaid for that. And right now, it doesn't seem overpaid because we just paid for it. We should have paid for it after the decline, basically. So that was one thing we could do during the migration for that one.
And for anyone in the audience that doesn't know or not familiar with the term migration, that's basically when someone buys a business, the seller has agreed, but the buyer doesn't have the business yet, and our team is helping move that business over to the buyer. So this must have happened during the 2-week inspection period, I'd assume,
Yes.
or right before it. So again, everyone out there listening, one of the things we do, if you buy a business from us, there's a 2-week inspection period after everything is handed over. And as long as the business is making over 50%, then it'll go through. But if something happens, like say a Google penalty during that inspection period, then obviously negotiations are back on the table. And that's awesome. That's like one of the safety features we have. Like, I don't think a lot of other brokers do that. I mean, most brokers don't even have a migrations team because they don't want to handle the tediousness of it, which it is quite tedious. It can be a thankless job. So a shout out to the migration team for handling that stuff. But yeah, that's cool, man. I like that. So you're saying one of your big wins throughout all this has been based on the negotiation side, which I agree. You make money when you buy when it comes to investing a lot of the time. In terms of growth, is there any stories of growth, like something gone to the moon since you bought it? Or can you share some percentages of growth that has happened?
Yeah. So one of our sites, I think the average that we bought it was by $5,500 a month. That was the average that we bought it for, or 6,000. I don't remember correctly, but yeah, about that. And it's been doing more than 10K in the recent months. So that's almost like 80% jump already. And that was in second round. So we haven't been doing it. It's just 6 months. That one. And another one was already on a growth trajectory. So that one average, I think we bought it for about 10,000 average. Last few months, it's been doing 15, 16,000, so already 50% growth on that one. So we had some good growth on the sites in round two. One of the sites actually did get penalized, was one of the smaller sites in our portfolio in round two. Was we bought for 142. And I think that got penalized by 70 or 60%. So we're in the process of, deploying the recovery plan that we have made and trying to see if we can get it back up to its previous levels. But yeah, in round one and round two, we have been averaging about 12% ROI in terms of dividends. So we've been doing round one for 4 quarters now, 1 year. And the ROI to investors has been about 12%, just the dividend part, not accounted for the capital growth, which will hopefully come when we sell the sites. And same thing for round two. We're at, I think, 5.5% for 2 quarters. So that's like 11.5% annualized. I think we're at a good pace right now.
That's awesome. Those are super good numbers, especially the one in round two. Wow, what a story there. That's awesome. When it comes to you continuing, I mean, obviously you've invested and participated now in 2 rounds, which is most of the operators. So in your view, what are your expectations or what are your big plans and goals as an EFC operator? Is the plan to keep going in subsequent rounds, or what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, definitely. So my goals with EFC would be to A, do bigger rounds, B, manage overall bigger portfolio. Let's say, at any time I would love to manage like 30, 40, $50 million worth of businesses. And I think we'll have the capability as we grow because I'm always hiring for the team. But yeah, I want to do bigger raises. That's one thing. Maybe not too many raises, like back to back, but like bigger raises, because then that will give me the ability to buy more, like buy bigger businesses, buy businesses that are maybe more than just a website making money via ads, buy businesses that have a team in place already and functions like a business. So that is where I want to be. I want to, buy brands, like maybe mini brands. So that's one thing within, of course, the content space. That's one thing. But we also are trying to develop in-house capability for managing and running and growing SaaS businesses. So I'm in India and we have unlimited talent here for, technical people, developers and all, because the world hires from here. So that just seems like the logical thing because the growth part majorly, comes from content marketing. We can focus on that and we can have developers managing the product. So we are looking to get into SaaS management also. And I've spoken to Mike about it. Hopefully we'll get into that soon. So I want to do bigger raises and buy bigger businesses that are, actual businesses like brands in themselves and take them to like maybe higher valuations, like not just a multiple game, but like a valuation game maybe. So that will be like a phenomenal ROI for investors.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Bigger raises also allows you to buy bigger businesses, which tend to have higher growth opportunities in a lot of ways. So I like that. And speaking of SaaS, anyone out there who is in the SaaS space, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm actually going to SaaStr coming up soon. I don't know when this episode is going to go live, but I think SaaStr will be happening right around when this episode goes live. So if you're in San Francisco, hit me up. I'd love to talk to you. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We're trying to get more into SaaS ourselves. There's a big opportunity there for sure. If you had to give advice to an entrepreneur looking to become an operator, what would you tell them are the unique opportunities of being an EFC operator versus, something else? Like, what do they get that they're not going to find anywhere else by becoming an operator?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So, first of all, getting in is one thing. It's really difficult, to be honest. I think Mike was telling me they got like 100 applicants in the second round, actually, and only 5 or 6 made it, out of which 2 of us were repeat operators. So only maybe 2 or 3 new people made it. So yeah, I love the vetting process that you guys have at EF Capital. And it does make sure that only the best of the best are selected. But yeah, once you're in, you get like a solid team to help you with anything and everything you can imagine. So your fundraising is taken care of. Then you have, deals advisors. So when you're looking at deals, you have sales rep. They advise you, they send you deals, they give you advice on deals. But then you also have even I talked to Mike on deals that I'm confused about, or we have advisors like Ross, who's worked with EF before and he's an advisor now to EF Capital. And they're on Slack, at the click of a button, and I can reach out to them and get their thoughts on any deal that I'm looking at, because they've also been in the game for a long, long time. And it's always helpful to get a second, a third opinion. So you get really good insights from them. That's there. Then you have the sales rep, like I said, they help a lot in, working with the seller, and they're like the bridge between you and the seller. Then once everything is done, I think we have bookkeeping firms that or take care of all the bookkeeping part. So we don't have to manage numbers as meticulously, because they do it for us. We just give them the data and then they just do their thing. So yeah, everything is taken care of in terms of even bookkeeping. And then in the middle, while during the migration, you have migration experts who make life so easy, that it's like a breeze, because migration is one of the bigger headaches, transferring everything,
Yes. As I mentioned, thankless job.
Yeah, it is a thankless job, but I really want to thank them. They have been really, really helpful, supportive, and I couldn't thank them enough. They never, fair share their due, but those have been game changers, So, yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I love it. And that's exactly why we built EFC, to help entrepreneurs and investors to do a lot of this heavy lifting and stuff that is, for the most part, usually out of the scope of the entrepreneur's job, like raising money, investor relationships. Obviously, you're a little bit different because you've done this for yourself, but you understand as well how hard that can be. So that's awesome. For anyone out there in the audience who is interested in becoming like you're here and joining up with EFC, make sure you go to empireflippers.com/capital. You can sign up for the vetting process, all that good stuff. But we're reaching the end of the interview here. So now we're in the high pressure moment, the rapid fire questions. You must get this accurate. Are you ready?
I am. Let's do it.
All right. If you answer these wrong, you have to give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Okay, I'm going to do that.
These are high stakes. Okay, good. I appreciate it. Otherwise, I'll send you my iPhone hacking affiliate website. Malware.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's do the rapid fire questions. So, what, in your opinion, are the best hidden growth opportunities when it comes to scaling content sites?
So yeah, like I said before, the best hidden opportunities, they lie in plain sight. More monetization options, CRO, conversion rate optimization, which is not being done by a lot of people. When they don't have tables, we add tables to the review pages. We do, put the right buttons, right colors. We have that all testing done. So that is the major missed opportunity that a lot of people don't pursue. So we do conversion rate optimization. So definitely look into that. We have gotten, from the same traffic, we've gotten, up to 50, 60, 80% more revenue from the same traffic. So that is one of the biggest opportunities, I'd say. But yeah, apart from the general ones, like, more diversification of revenue, different sources of revenue, room for growth, and of course, buying at the right price.
For sure. I personally love CRO. That's the thing I recommend for every buyer of every business model to do, like whether it's e-commerce,
Totally.
SaaS, or content.
It's underrated, but yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. What tools or resources can people use to optimize their content sites, whether it's SEO or a CRO or, just in general, what's your favorite tool?
Yeah, so we use Ahrefs extensively, then Surfer, and then Copyscape and Grammarly. Like those 3-4 tools are like kind of, you don't need too many tools, honestly. These should be good. And, as long as your research is thorough, you wouldn't need too many tools.
You're telling people to unsubscribe from AppSumo. I see what you're doing there. Some 3D checks. The ultimate addiction of every digital entrepreneur, AppSumo lifetime deals.
I stopped looking at their deals, man. I stopped opening their emails.
She was looking to check out this tool, and it was an old one. I logged in, like, wait a second. I bought lifetime access to this thing like 2 years ago. I just like never used it.
There you go. I realized I can do just fine without that, I realized that a few months ago.
Less is really more, for sure. Now, the hardest question for all the fake money on the internet: what is your funniest moment working within the online business industry?
I actually get them quite, often, because I do outreach for buying sites, for our own private deal flow. And a lot of times people think that their sites are worth at least $1 million. So that's really funny to me because, when you tell them the logical explanation, they're like, no, this is not what it is. I think I'm only going to sell if I get $1 million, and the site's probably making a couple grand a month. So those funny moments, happen every once in a while, and someone is just unrealistic about their expectations. So yeah, maybe it's worth $1 million to them. So better to keep it with them.
I know I resonate with what you just said.
Yeah.
We were just talking to a SaaS guy. I think he was making like $30K a month in MRR, like not profit, but revenue from what I remember. Okay. And the guy wanted, I think it was like $20 million for the business.
Oh, geez.
Like, dude, like you're not Uber. Calm down. Like,
you can't reason with it.
It's not in your cards.
It's worth just letting them be.
Right. Yeah. It's like, okay, unsubscribe you from ever speaking to you again. Awesome. Exactly. Well, Mohit, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. If the audience wants to connect with you further, what's the best place to do it?
Yeah, they can either reach out to me on my email, which is mohit@bbi.xyz, mohit@bbi.xyz, or just connect with me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Really happy to answer your questions or queries.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Mohit.
Thank you so much, Greg. Thank you for having me. It was a lovely chat. Yeah.
There you have it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it got you inspired at all the different things that are happening in this industry. And of course, if you just want to buy a highly profitable business, you can always go to empireflippers.com/marketplace. Or maybe you want to make an exit of your highly profitable business, and you could go to empireflippers.com/sell your site. I've been your host, Greg. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you leave a review, give us a like, a follow, share it across social media. Talk to you all soon. See you on the next episode.